I saw Rage. And Charlie, you saw Dog Eat Dog, two Nicolas Cage vehicles.
GSN game shows.
and we got to convince Steve over here that our movies were better than any other movie ever.
All the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
My friend actually just finished watching all of the extended Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
So,
all right.
I'll have some free time now.
Yeah, let's start.
Are you ready for Movie Versus? Welcome to Movie Versus, the podcast where we pin two terrible movies in an all-out battle for the best of the worst. Here are your hosts, Tyler Lamb, Charlie Pixley, and Steve Janik. All on Movie Versus!
Hey everybody, welcome to Movie Versus, the podcast in defense of bad movies. I am one of the hosts, Tyler Lamb, and I'm joined with... Wait, I always fuck up on this. I think about it too much. Joined by, whatever. I'm here with, there we go, Steve Janik. Steve, how's it going?
It's all right. It's nice out today, despite it being the Midwest in winter.
Yeah,
so,
and
tomorrow
having snowed earlier this week.
Yeah, tomorrow I fully expect for the world to be frozen solid.
Yeah, it's got to be. And Charlie Pixley, the other host, what are your thoughts on global warming? And Al Gore.
It's a sham that Al Gore didn't tell us sooner.
He's obviously been in cahoots with China.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to hear you guys' thoughts on An Inconvenient Truth.
They do, man.
and even more inconvenient
sequel.
That's what it is. Yeah, my bad.
That's crazy that dude invented global warming
and the internet
and pants.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And he still didn't get presidency.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rigged game.
It just shows you that you can accomplish so much in life, and it
still be a piece of shit.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we saw Nick Cage movies. I saw Rage. Charlie saw Dog Eat Dog. They're both on the U.S. Netflix. I looked it up. I think it's only the U.S. So sorry, any listeners outside.
You're gonna have to get that Hola browser or something and change your country.
Yeah,
everyone get a VPN.
So yeah, but you can check those out. And yeah, Steve, let's just take it away. What do you got for us? What do you want to hear?
Well, since I walked in on you watching your movie today, Tyler.
Yes, you did.
We'll go ahead and start with your plot so that I can understand what I did. Actually, I didn't see anything. I saw a scene. No, I saw like a frame, and then I went outside and hung out with Kevin until
wow,
Tyler
that's
was
quick, dude. You saw one frame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how fast my reaction.
30 a second, right?
It's like
60.
20. No, it's like 20 something.
24.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because when The Hobbit did
48.
I don't remember.
48 or 60 or something like that.
It's something where it was like, yeah, it did not. It was weird.
Mm-hmm. Hey, at least that took off, though.
Yeah, exactly. People loved it.
Wasn't jarring at all.
They should have made Cloverfield like that.
Oh my, yeah, the first one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, people definitely would have been on board if they just did it in a full 30 frames. No, it might be. Well, no, movies. I could look it up right now, but I'm pretty sure it's 24 for movies. Whereas like YouTube videos are in like 30 or 29.9.
Video
games
like should be 30, I think. Or older. Now they're 60.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You just do a Halo
Allegedly.
5. You do a Halo 5 where you make everything in the everything right in front of you 60 frames per second, but everything in the distance is like 10 frames per second.
Yeah. Averages.
So what was the plot?
Yeah.
Of my movie.
The most basic question asked on this podcast.
So Locke is looking for Master Chief.
Yeah, exactly, and he's hunting him down. Now, so in this movie, it starts out you know that Nick Cage kind of has a crime past, but he
mine too, dude. That's weird.
That's crazy.
That's why I did this.
He has a crime past, but he not anymore. Now he owns like an actual like construction company, and none of his money is dirty. Like he's not fucking people over. He's kind of like left that whole thing behind. But what had happened was the reason he was able to get out of the game was when he was still in it. They intercepted a guy dropping off money for like. So there's like the Russian mob and the Irish mob, right?
Right.
And they were.
I know about the mobs.
And they were with the Irish mob, and they intercepted a Russian mobster who was like basically dropping money off to his boss.
Those are potatoes, Tyler.
Yeah, money.
Money.
Yeah,
Russian money. Carry on, Tyler.
And they intercepted him, and it ended up being more money than they were like expecting. So it was enough for them to kind of split it. It was him and his two buddies. I think it was Danny and Kane, I think are their names, and they were able to split it. And he left. He was able to start that company and left. And they got that money, and they also stole a like this Russian gun.
Okay.
I forget the exact model, like Taklov or something like that. It was some nice gun that he took, and so at one point, they come back they go out to a charity dinner, him and his wife, and they come back, and the kids, his daughter had like some friends over, and it was a mess. Everything was gone. Daughter was not there. It was just the two.
How old's the daughter?
I think the daughter was going to turn 18.
Oh, 18?
Yeah, like she was 17. She was about to turn 18 because they were discussing the party they were going to throw her for her 18th birthday.
Gotcha.
So
how long after the interception of the money is this?
Oh, it's years later.
Okay.
It's enough that he started a company and he now has,
Gotcha.
And so he's like, hey, what the fuck happened to the kids? And the guy's like, so these guys came in, broke in, kidnapped your daughter, like beat us up, all this shit, like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck was going on. And
but they were speaking only in Russian.
and
kept calling each other Igor.
Nick Cage is kind of like freaking out. The cops, Danny Glover is like the police chief or head detective or something. He's kind of like, okay, hey, I know that you have, like, don't go back into this life of crime. Like, let us handle it. Like, don't
under no circumstances should you rage.
Exactly. He said, and then he winked at the camera. He was like, don't like make this go back. Like, let us do it. We can, handle it. Of course, Nick Cage does not follow that advice.
You can't cage him.
And after a little while, they find his daughter, and the daughter was like found in like a storm drain area, like where the drain, like,
yeah.
What is that called? Like in The Dark Knight Rises, when he finds the kid, when they find Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
just like sewer. I mean,
yeah, like the where it comes out to.
I know what you're talking about. They runoff or whatever.
Yeah, they find her, and she had been shot in the head. And
snap!
So she's dead, and it turns
out.
Yeah. The shot to the head was fatal. And it turns out that
unlike every.
Yeah, it was shocking. And because they were like, we found your daughter. We found your daughter. He had been. She was shot in the head, and Nick Cage was like, "Can I talk to her?"
They were like, "Bad news.
We're sorry. It was fatal."
What are her chances of making it?
But and then the gun that was used to shoot her, they find out was the same.
Red Ryder BB gun.
The same kind of Russian gun. So he was like, so Nick Cage immediately is like, okay, it was like the Russians were getting me back, like they were trying to come in and they killed my daughter, and so now I'm going to fuck up the Russian mob. And so
that's fair.
Proceed the rest of the movie where he pretty much fucks up the Russian mob. There, like he uses a knife a lot.
Do we ever get to hear the best song for this? Bodies by Drowning Pool?
No, we do not. We do not. But a lot's hit the floor.
Okay. As long as it does.
But we didn't have any audio telling us that they were hitting the floor.
Yeah.
So you had to do it yourself. So you had to do it yourself the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
1, nothing's wrong with me.
2, nothing's wrong with me. 3, nothing. And so he goes to the couple places he goes to where he fucks up some Russian mob people. Is he goes to like
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese. Thanks. That's the word I was looking for. Chuck E. Cheese. One of them is inside of the Chuck E. Cheese mascot outfit. A couple of them are pretending to be the animatronic band players.
Pretending to be the animatronic people.
Yeah, they're moving like really. I mean, and he looks at him for a little bit. And he's like, I don't. And then he walks away.
Really happens?
And then one goes, phew. And he goes, what? No one sneezes. My bad. and he turns back and no, he goes to like a little like a private gambling ring. I don't know if it's a ring, but if it's just all like their buddies
like
hanging
underground casinos and stuff.
Yeah. And he goes in there with Kane and Danny, and they fuck everybody up. And then he goes.
Does anything happen to Danny or Kane, like, or is it just Nicolas Cage's daughter? Like,
just Nicolas Cage's daughter.
Okay.
But they're like they were all still friends. Like Cage left the mob business, but they would all still like be friends and hang out.
Right.
He just wouldn't, hit licks with them. Those gangsters out there would know what I'm talking about when I use language like that.
Yeah.
But
there was one listener that's like, he really gets us.
Oh shit, there's one listener.
No,
nice.
the one mob listener.
And so he wait, where do they go after that? They go to a preschool. No, they
wow,
never see it coming.
We got to get them before they're in the mob.
Exactly, snuff them out.
Title sequence: Minority Report 2.
Yeah, that's when they go to the church and they. Not the church. Why did I say church? The strip club. Yeah. Where that scene, we saw in the trailer where he walks.
For praise.
Exactly. And where to confess your sins, I guess.
And to tithe.
Yeah, heavily. And you it's that scene in the trailer when Nick Cage like walks past all the strippers or whatever. I don't know if you guys remember that. Check out our trailer reactions on YouTube.
I was expecting to see that in my movie because I remember that. Like, where's that scene at?
No, it was in mine.
Well,
and he finds the guy. He finds one of the Russian guys and he's like trying to get information out of him. And he realized. I think he goes there because it's the driver that they jumped.
Right.
And so he was like. Yeah, but then the guy like realizes that Nick Cage was the guy who jumped. They had masks on when they did it, and he was just kind of like, "Wait a minute, you are wearing that same leather jacket."
Wow, this guy has an immaculate memory.
And so he starts running, but one of Nick Cage's buddies, I think it's Danny, shoots at him in the street, and he gets hit. And Kane's like, "What the fuck are you doing? We're in the middle of the street. Stop shooting!" So Nick Cage chases him down, but he's not able to get any information out of him. He dies. So he's pissed off. And then they go to I just fucking watched this too.
Like literally just watched it.
And then they go to a drug house, pretty much like a trap house, and but it's like a Russian trap house. All the girls are in lingerie, and they're all counting the money. Yeah. And no, it's and so they go in there and they just start fucking killing everybody. And at this point,
it's weird how it changes tone so much throughout the movie.
Yeah. And Danny Glover's still on the sideline, like, you got to stop doing this.
Hey,
they meet up at after the drug house thing. They meet up at a coffee shop, and Danny Glover's like tells him this story about how his son was in a car accident, I think, and he was like in critical condition, and Danny Glover wanted to kill the guy who drove the car, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do it. But then his son came to, like, and he survived. And also Danny Glover, like, took that route one day, and he saw that it was, like, a legitimate blind spot.
Yeah.
And so he was like, it was actually an accident, and I could have killed this guy, and it would have been...
And so the moral of the story was it was a complete accident that the daughter got shot in the head and left in a ditch.
Well, no, and he's like, he goes, you see what I'm... And Nick Cage is just like, yeah, your son's still alive. Anything else?
and also it was like
different circumstances.
There are zero comparisons in this.
One was murder, the other was manslaughter at best.
Exactly. And so then Kane gets captured by the Russian mob leaders because they
needed to find out.
And they're torturing him
to his chicken strips.
Exactly.
And good.
And they're they're like torturing him, like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Who did you kill? Turns out that when they robbed him, that guy, it was that mob head guys, it was his brother, and they killed him. And so the mob was like, oh, you motherfuckers. Like, I didn't know that was you that killed my fucking brother. And then, I mean, we're starting to get into spoiler stuff. Like,
wait. So if they didn't know who did it, why did they kill his daughter?
I mean, do you want me to talk about? I can get into spoilers later.
We'll do that. We'll do that later.
Yeah. Okay. But let me say one more thing. So Kane he ends up getting killed by the Nick Cage goes to Danny and is like, hey, why weren't you answering your phone when I was trying to get a hold of you to help me get to Kane? Why, like, how did they know about this stuff? You were like a fucking rat. You talked, and he's like, no, I didn't. But Nick Cage still slits his gut open and kills him.
Shit.
Yeah. And a little bit before that, he was in a car chasing the guys down who took Kane, and he got stopped by a police officer, and Danny Glover. No, it was a group of them because it was a long chase, and he was like, "Oh, you let him get away," and they're like, "We're gonna have to." And Danny Glover's like, "No, don't take him. He's fine." And like, are you fucking kidding me?
Here's the biggest problem I have with that is that Danny Glover the entire time is like, don't go after these guys, don't kill them. And this was your best chance to keep that from happening. Like, you put him in jail and you can't do it.
You better not go after them.
He kept winking.
Just go home. Let us take care of it.
No, he kept saying that while pointing at the tape recorder, like, don't do it.
And holding up a little piece of paper that says,
do it. Definitely do
it.
All right.
All right, Charlie, hit me with the basics. For Dog Eat Dog.
So basically, there are three guys, Willem Dafoe, Nicolas Cage, and then I don't remember the name of the third guy. I don't know.
I think it's funny that when, like with Nick Cage's I don't remember his character's name because I just say, it's Nick Cage. I don't remember
Willem Dafoe's character's name because I believe it was John McCain. They could have said McClane, but then that's still funny.
I know. This came out in like last year.
I know. So these three guys are convicts. They're out of jail. They did their time for doing all sorts of stuff. And Nicolas Cage is trying to get him one last job to move away forever, which I know you'd love, Steve, because then when he says it, it's like, we can keep doing these piddly jobs and increase our chances of being caught and going back, and we have all got 2 strikes, so we know that can't happen, or we can do one more job and hope that we pass it or accomplish it and then move away for good. And the one dude was laughing. He's like, what the fuck are you laughing at? And he goes, because that's bullshit. The last job thing never worked. And he said, but we're just going to move to Hawaii after this and then live out the rest of our lives. Like, well, first of all, you should definitely leave the country if you get that done. And the dude was laughing, just going, nobody has ever done this. And then Willem Dafoe goes, yeah, but if they did, you'd never know. And he's like, I mean, I guess. Whatever. So they agreed to do this job. And the job is that there's a bunch of high power players and kind of the liaison between Nicolas Cage's gang and the major boss that wants the job. He organized this meeting, and this guy who's some sort of drug cartel says, like, this guy owes us $4 million. Now it's a matter of principle. I've given him plenty of time. If you can get him to pay us the $4 million, you can take half of it, and I'll give you $500,000 right now. He said, I don't even care about the $4 million so much. It's more of a principle thing. I need to send a message. Blah blah blah. So he said, I want you to kidnap his 1-year-old. And Nicolas Cage at first goes, no.
I mean, that's aggressive.
Not into kidnapping. And the guy goes,
this is baby napping.
He says, I'm not an animal. If the kid was 8 or something, he's going to remember that, but it's 1, so who gives a shit? The kid's not going to remember. Which I guess is fair and kind of nice in its own twisted way.
If the TV show Dexter taught me anything, it's that if a baby sees something very traumatic...
Well, that's how you just cover him up.
True, fair enough.
No chainsaws. So he goes back and tells the gang, and things go awry during the baby napping.
You don't say.
They sneak
Wait, hold on.
So this is where you accidentally watched Raising Arizona and saw it and found no differences.
So this was, you said the baby was napping and things went awry.
Yeah, they did. So we see this person in the house, and he's waiting there with a gun. He just looks like he's security guard for the house. Just waiting and waiting. And Nicolas Cage and the gang, because it's like a mob dude's house and it's all decked out with security. Nicolas Cage and his gang, they sneak in. They go up to the baby's room. The what do you call a person? Like babysitter, I guess, is over there.
Like a nanny?
Nanny.
Au pair?
Nanny. Yeah, exactly.
Au pair.
Yeah, she drew her baguette and then they just shot her.
Like, what'd you do? She just had bread, and they crack it open, and it's a rifle.
No honor. So they go in, they see the baby, and they're getting ready to just take him. They weren't going to kill anybody or anything. And the guy then comes in through the doorway, and he just goes, "You guys are so fucked," because he's already holding his pistol up. And the guys turn around, and then it's kind of a Mexican standoff where they all got guns to each other, even though it's 3-on-1, but the dude still has a gun up to him, so they could kill him, but he would definitely be able to kill one of them. So he goes, "You guys are so fucked." And then as he starts his next sentence, Willem Dafoe, who's just got his shotgun at his hip, just pulls the trigger and just blows his head up. And you see it from behind, you see his head blow up.
Oh man.
And I took me by surprise. Holy shit! It's like, you guys are so fucked. You're gonna in 5 seconds of the scene. To which point, of course, Nicolas Cage. Oh shit! And then they kidnap the baby and the nanny because they said they don't want to deal with the baby. So just take her.
Honestly, that's good planning.
Just keep the baby quiet and take care of it and stuff because they genuinely didn't want to hurt a baby.
Yeah,
it's pretty messed up. They also didn't know who this guy was, and it's revealed later on that then this guy was the dude that they were supposed to get the money from. So then it's about them trying to find his cash stash from their younger, or from that drug dealer's lower level guys, and just on a hunt for the money and stuff to clear their own name.
Wait, I'm a little confused.
Sure.
So, they're kidnapping a baby
to hold for ransom.
From
the guy that they just blew their head off of.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either.
So the guy that they just killed is the guy that they need the money from.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
I didn't think it was, because then they check his ID afterwards, and they're like, I don't know who the fuck that guy is, and they leave, and then the liaison dude calls him and goes, "Yeah, did you encounter any trouble there?" And like, "Yeah, some dude came over, but we blasted him and whatever." He goes, "Yeah, that was the guy you're supposed to get the money from." Like, "No, we checked his ID." And then he just said, "Yeah, he's a criminal. he has an ID with a different name on it. Then that shouldn't be a surprise to you." And also maybe figure out what the guy looks like too would also help. But
so now they have to find out how to get the money.
Yeah.
To give to the guy. Okay.
So they're tracking down all his drug dealers and stuff, and hey, take me to one of the safe houses and get the money and all that stuff. And they're all dressed up, pretending to be cops throughout this whole thing.
All right.
Is there an acid trip in the movie?
There's lots of drug scenes. The opening scene of the movie is with Willem Dafoe in this house, and he's tripping balls and everything. And this lady comes in with her probably 10-year-old kid. She's saying, "What the hell are you doing here? You can't be here, blah, blah, blah." You figure out they're former lovers, and she's definitely half Willem Dafoe's age, and they cast somebody very big. So the contrast between her and Willem Dafoe looks anorexic in this movie. He's super tiny, and he's, "Come on, baby, I just need one more night. It can be like the old times." And he's climbing all over her. And she falls for him again, and the daughters.
How could you not?
Oh, I know. Hold on, this is the opening scene of the movie.
Just the dulcet tones of Willem Dafoe's voice.
He's tripping, and then the daughter's like, "Hey, did anybody call at least while you were here? Because one of my friends was supposed to call." And he goes, "I don't know, whatever. Just go upstairs." And the mom is all and got her lovey-dovey eyes on, so she's like, "Yeah, just go upstairs," to her daughter. To essentially for this strange man to the kid, as far as she knows. So she goes up there, and she's like, "All right, you can stay here one more night, blah, blah, blah." And then he convinces her to do it by promising that he'll make I don't remember if it was like pastrami something or smoked pork or something.
Okay.
It's like, okay, jeez, though. So, hold on, this is building up to something, I promise. So then it cuts to him in the bathroom just taking care of himself, and all of a sudden you hear the lady start screaming. She's like, what the fuck is this shit? What do I use my computer for? It's for organizing the church schedule on my spreadsheet, doing my taxes, and sending emails. She's like, what is this? And of course it was Asian teen squirters. It's just like all these videos of just people playing with their genitalia and shooting liquid out of themselves. And he's like, I was in jail. What do you expect? Blah, blah, blah. And she's saying, no, I thought you were going to get back together with me, and this is bullshit. And it's like, okay, cool. She didn't actually fall for it. She caved for a second, but she's kicking him out. And he's just yelling, like, no, fuck you too, blah, blah, blah. And she's saying, no, you got to get out of here. So then he pulls out a knife and just slits her throat open.
Oh, my God.
And, like, she starts running away, and blood is just gushing out of her throat. So he jumps on her back like a spider monkey and just starts stabbing her like the kid from Tropic Thunder.
That's
just
the
like
first
that.
thing I thought of.
And they show, like, the knife going into her. She, and it falls into the coffee table, like a glass coffee table, and just shatters.
Where's her daughter at this
Upstairs.
point?
Well, she was coming down then to hear what happened. And so he stabs the mom like 30 times and then sees the daughter and starts chasing a 10-year-old through the house. And she locks herself in her room. He goes and gets his gun and starts banging against the door. And she's yelling and stuff. And then he eventually breaks the door in, finds her hiding under her covers, and puts a pillow over her head and shoots her twice in the head. And that's within the first 8.5 minutes of the movie. It's
my
holy
God.
Jesus.
shit.
So where does the pastrami come into play?
He never had to make it.
Man,
You'd
what a
think
twist.
You'd
I know.
think he would still want some, because that
Yeah.
sounds delicious.
He
Exactly.
probably was just lying, though.
Fuck, okay. Well, Steve, what else do
Yeah,
you
and he
got?
says the N-word like 5 times
Whoa.
within that time.
Whoa, whoa,
What?
whoa.
I don't even remember the context.
There wasn't
I think it
any.
was just general anger.
Yeah, he's probably just in the looking in the mirror.
Wow,
Okay.
he's pretty progressive, dude.
Well, I think he was thinking it was like a Candyman scenario, or what's the Bloody Mary? It's Candyman,
Wow.
right? You say Candyman, and
Yeah.
like you summon him if
Yeah.
you say him, right?
I've actually never seen Candy.
I was trying to. I didn't know if I got my lore correct.
Yes, you're right. So that gives you an idea for the tone of my movie.
Yes, it does.
Regardless of what happens, we probably should watch that first sequence after this.
Okay.
Maybe.
Only because it's right at the beginning. You don't have to hunt for it at all.
So
I don't know if I want to hear that many that racially charged.
Honestly, it was throughout the movie, so it might not have been too many within
I
there.
gotcha.
So, Tyler, as we all know, one of Nick Cage's most famous works is Face Off.
Yeah. What did they do in that movie, Steve?
They took his face off.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, thanks.
So, this question involves
Let me just say that movie also begins with a child dying. that's the cold open of the film.
Yeah, oh, that shit is funny.
Is Nick Cage sniping a kid?
So my question for you,
Real quick, that's one of those movies where you could pretend to know what it's about just based off the title, like even if you hadn't seen it. But yeah, it's one where like they take their faces off. Like, oh, okay, you've seen it.
I legitimately now I feel bad because I know she's gonna listen to it, but I got my girlfriend to start watching it because she had never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do you think it's about? And she said, I don't know, they fight or something because it's called Face Off.
No, yeah.
Obviously the double entendre of the title.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, then we're watching this. And we got up to right before the moment when they're talking about switching their faces and she fell asleep. And I was like, oh my God, we need to go back in.
just wake her up. No, this is the part that matters. Well, no, and I think one of the problems is that like when you see it,
what problems?
No. Like,
There's no problems with
like
that movie.
she's just hearing Face Off, but like when you see the title, when it has like with like the dash in it, like something about that just makes me like, oh, they're going to take their faces off.
Yeah, but also I think, to her credit, it is a ridiculous premise.
Oh yeah.
So for you to think that they're
Like,
actually
it is a ridiculously awesome premise.
So
yeah, that movie's great.
So Tyler, in this film,
No faces get taken off.
if at the beginning you were to take Nicolas Cage's face off and replace it with John Travolta, how does this movie get better?
We know it wouldn't be any different as far as the acting goes, because in the movie Face Off, when they switch faces, they both just do Nick Cage impersonations.
Yeah.
So it would just be John
Why
Travolta.
wouldn't you? To be honest, that's like John Travolta's best. He's like, you mean I get to pretend to be Nick Cage?
Yeah, and so
my entire life up to this point.
I think that it would be
Nicolas Cage gets to do that.
It would be a little bit more comedic in the sense, because I think old John Travolta looks funnier than old Nick Cage. So seeing old John Travolta doing Nick Cage impersonations would be, I mean,
what about From Paris with Love, John Travolta, though?
I've never seen From Paris with Love.
Oh, it looks pretty goofy in that. It looks like if you took his Battlefield Earth character and just shaved his head.
Oh God!
Ooh, wow, that is a.
There's some movie on Netflix where it appears to be John Travolta attacking someone with a bow and arrow, and he looks like he has a shaved
another
head.
Nicolas Cage thing.
And
the Weatherman.
And he has a chin strap. So I don't know what's going on with that.
It sounds like it needs to be assigned to somebody. But yeah, no, I think that it would be more comedic.
More comedic?
Yeah, it would be.
If that's even a possibility.
I think that the movie would definitely be taken less seriously.
Okay. Charlie, same question.
Who would I replace him with? Or how would it be different?
How would it be different with John Travolta instead of Nicolas Cage?
It would definitely... I don't know if I'll make that joke. Well, I was going to say it'd certainly be a lot funnier to see the scene where he's trying to get Hooker to, like... She wants to suck on his Johnson, but he's trying to go, no, I'm not about that. I want to, like, take you to Paris. I want to take you to France and, like, explore the world with you after this one last job. And she's like, yeah, but can you just give me $300 to suck on your wiener? She actually says, suck on your pee-pee.
Oh.
No, she does not.
Okay. But does she do that only because Nicolas Cage constantly refers to it as his pee-pee?
She touched my pee-pee. $300 for you to touch my
$350.
Wait, so does he have a relationship with this hooker, like, previously, or he just is in love with this hooker for no apparent reason?
No, it's just, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Hold on. No. Let me. Since you did a specific scene, the scene where he confronts Danny and ends up cutting him. There's a part where they're arguing. He's like, you talked, I know you talked, and Danny's like trying to explain. So he's like, no, this is what happened. He's like going into this detail of what happened, and the whole time Nick Cage is just going, I
can see Nick Cage doing that right now in my mind.
And so switching that with John Travolta, and then him just yelling, "Rat!" and then slicing his stomach open.
That's Danny's, John Cena's character, Danny from 12 Rounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, Denny!
Should I give up?
Oh, wait, no, so
Donnie.
now it's, oh.
Yeah, it's just the way Littlefinger
Donnie.
says it. Oh, Denny.
Okay.
Your movie's called The 13th Round.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it. So before I have you guys tell me how we resolve these movies, I'm gonna go with my classic serious question. What is the one thing that you feel should have been added to this trailer to make you have what's something that you feel is so good that people need to see it to, like, really draw them into the movie, but it doesn't, like, ruin the whole movie?
I got
Go
something.
for it.
Yeah, I think that it should have been. I didn't get that he was a part of the mob from watching the trailer, so maybe because we were talking over a lot of it, but I did not get that. I thought that he, and knowing that he was in the mob and had a life of crime in the past, kind of like changes because I know the first thing you said, you were like, why is this house getting hit? Like, is this just a random crime or a crime of passion?
Right.
But yeah, that could have been added to the trailer and would have made it a little bit better.
All right. Charles?
So for me, I probably would have. Now it might have been in the trailer, but I can't remember. Alluded to the idea of them kidnapping more, and then also let you know that okay, things go awry. I think you honestly could have even put in the part saying like, not necessarily showing it, but saying like, you killed the guy you're supposed to get the money from.
No, I agree. That would have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh shit, and then that's when the trailer ends. Like, okay, now you got to figure this out.
I thought you were gonna say you honestly think they could have put in the N-word.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Could have, should have, whatever. Let you know what you're in for.
All right, since Tyler has taken the lead
during the trailer, it just cuts to the different parts where Willem Dafoe says it. It's like flashed.
Oh, Nick Cage says it too.
Oh wow.
Okay.
The baby does too. It's like, damn, it's taught.
Did Quentin Tarantino write this movie?
Wow. So since Tyler's had first dibs on most of these things, Charlie, why don't you take me through the end of the movie, like the home stretch.
Take him on a Willy Wonka type ride.
Tell me they make it to Hawaii.
No. So they're just trying to run around town and figure everything out. And they go to a liquor store at one point, and the cops are onto them. And they go out in the parking lot, and there's a huge shootout. And none of the violence is really glamorized. So cops get out of the car, and one of them just shoots a cop in the chest, and just like, poof, oh, and
wow.
They just drop dead. It's like, okay, it's not like cool battle scenes. Poof, poof, oh. So you think they're all dead, and then it shows this couple, and they're eating at a diner, and you see about it on the news, and they leave. Like you see like shootout at local liquor store, whatever. And then they leave and get in their car. Nick Cage carjacks them, like as they're getting in, but kidnaps them as well. And he thinks they have some sort of connection to somebody. He's like, you got to take me to where you're going, or take me to the safe house that I know you know about, and give me the money and all this. And then they're freaking out. They get pulled over by the cops for some reason, and the cops proceed to kill Nick Cage and kill the people in the car too.
Kill Nick Cage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because the other two died as well.
Oh,
but
wow.
then they light up the car and shoot the two people inside, this old elderly couple.
That sucks for that elderly couple.
And that's it.
Wow. So, like, they definitely don't get away with it.
No.
So the entire crew dies. They do, like, they just fuck up this last job? Do they at any point get close?
Do they ever even see money?
And
they get the $500,000 at the beginning.
Yeah, okay, they get some and they spend it all. Well, no, not all that, but they get some cash from one of the drug dealers. They mainly get drugs. I think they just sell some of them off to somebody, and they spend it all on drugs and alcohol.
Is the baby alive?
So I don't know why they really sold a lot of the drugs.
The baby alive?
I don't remember.
How's the nanny?
I think she gets killed.
Oh, damn.
Wow.
Okay.
Real downer on this one.
And the last part is just Nick Cage going, I thought I was in this for justice. Really. But really,
is that the last line of the movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, second to last.
But does he?
But really, I was just in it for myself.
Wait. Does he say that?
No, it's a voiceover.
No, but he says, I thought I was in this for justice.
But really, I was in it for myself.
Or something like that.
Oh, wow.
The justice part, that definitely happens. But
okay. All right.
Smash cut to credits, dude.
So you want to know how my movie ends?
I do.
Okay, so it turns out Nick Cage goes home and finds the gun that Russian gun.
He did it all along?
In his closet, wrapped in like a cloth.
Mm-hmm.
So he realizes that something was up, and he gets the friend of the girl that was over the guy, and it turns out it was all a lie. They were playing with Nick Cage's guns because they knew about his past, and they convinced the daughter to like show him what Nick Cage had. And they were outside, and she was like, kind of like, "Hey guys, come on, like, give me the guns. Let's go back inside." And the one guy has his back to her, and he's like has his hand out, and he's like, I just thought it was like cool holding the gun, and then she comes up behind him and kind of like is like, hey, yeah, give me you two, come on, get, and like kind of grabs his shoulder and like turns him around. And in the shock, he's like, what? And accidentally pulls the trigger and shoots her in the head, and she dies. So he killed her the whole time. And actually, in the end, in my opinion, it was all Nick Cage's fault because he didn't lock up any of his weapons, apparently.
Yep.
And
they were just in a briefcase.
And also, these kids shouldn't get high because when you get high...
No, they weren't getting high. They were just drunk.
No, remember those smoking commercials where the kid accidentally shoots himself in the face?
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So this kid killed her, and Nick Cage decides not to kill the kid because he's like, I think,
because that's where the accident thing comes in.
Yeah, I think so. And then Nick Cage calls his wife and like apologizes for everything and says that it's all good and they'll be safe now. The mob won't be after them anymore
because he's killed the entire mob.
No, because
it's all good
because he knew the mob was coming to him and they all killed him. And end of movie. So, hearing how Charlie's movie ends the same way with Nick Cage dying, I think that somebody should contact Nick Cage and see if he's all right because he keeps taking movies where he dies in the end. I think he dies in The Trust, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was really angling for the role of John in John Dies at the End. I know he had his own campaign.
Well, he heard the title and he was like, I need a part of this.
I need to be John.
So somebody please contact Nick Cage, make sure
everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck you, Sean Bean.
Yeah. So he
coming for you.
He dies, and the movie ends with you see in his eyes the muzzle flashes of the guns that he's being shot with, and then credits, and then during the credits, you see the cops like going through the house, and Danny Glover standing there at the bottom of the steps, looking up like a little kid. It was kind of funny, and Danny Glover definitely does look too old for this shit.
Does he say anything close?
I wasn't even gonna ask.
He doesn't say it, but he's a whisper talker.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of that in this movie. And I misspoke. The girl's 16. She's not. She's going to be turning 16. She wasn't going to be turning 18.
Gotcha.
Because they were going to have it at Kane owned a bar, and they were going to have it at the bar. Since Kane like owns the place, you could just like shut it down and
classic location for a 16-year-old birthday party.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
That you gotta make a really early, strong link of alcohol and driving.
Yeah.
So at 16, at 16, when
you're
getting
equal responsibility for both of them,
because you have to get the car at the bar so that you know that those two things go together.
Mm-hmm. And what you do is you show her those commercials. That like those Swedish commercials about drinking and driving or whatever, where it's like they're very graphic.
Oh yeah,
and tell her that's what happens when you don't drink and drive.
Wow.
Isn't there one where like a car just like lands on a group of kids like in a park or something?
I have no idea.
They must have hit like a sweet ramp or something then.
Well, yeah, they were drunk. They built it. And they were like, let's fucking go off and like
not
GTA,
that drunk,
baby.
I guess.
I don't know.
It was a mixture of alcohol and cocaine.
Just cinder blocks and plywood.
Yeah.
And amazingly, their car hit a straight ramp.
And they had that sweet. They had a baseball card in the wheel, so it sounded like a motorcycle.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
This is a tough one. This is a real toughie.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Charlie because it sounds more interesting before it gets completely ridiculous.
I probably have to agree.
Like, I gotta be honest. When Charlie said
the N-word thing really sealed the deal for Steve.
No,
like, Willem Dafoe and Nick Cage, you said.
I thought these were going to be bad movies.
Well, I thought it sounded a little bit more interesting, and then you said I thought it was in it for justice, and I was like, wait, when did you think it was in it for justice? That part turned me off kind of hard, and then but then Tyler was like, turns out it was just the girl's friend, and he accidentally killed half the mob on accident.
Yeah.
And I was
Nick Cage was like, it was just an accident. I didn't kill all the mobsters. No, I think the accident part was that the kid killed the.
No.
But it was.
I get that. I just meant like, oh man, it turns out I didn't need to have killed the entire mob. Oops.
Yeah, well, because when Kane was being tortured. They were like, he was like, well, you killed his daughter, and he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, we know you did it, and he's like, why would I do that? Like, what? He was like, you're accusing me of killing someone's little girl? Like, that's a pretty bold accusation. Like, that's pretty fucked up.
That's exactly what someone would say if they killed somebody's daughter.
But yeah, do you want me to go in on?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, well, I got
I'm sorry, Tyler.
No, you're fine. I got a lot of notes. So the first 10 minutes of the movie, I couldn't understand anything anybody was saying because it was Nick Cage and his daughter in a car, and I think they were just having a competition on who could mumble the most.
Who won?
I think the daughter did. I don't think I understood a thing she said that entire scene. And Nick Cage has years and years on her, so
that's fair.
And so the 16-year-old birthday thing, they're like figuring it out, and Nick Cage makes sure to tell him, "Hey, no meth at the door."
No meth?
Yeah,
you gotta bring that around back.
Yeah, at the door. So I'm wondering what kind of parties he goes to that they just give complimentary meth at the door when you walk in. He's like, "Okay, here's your stand stamp, and here's your meth."
Beautiful.
The stepmom and the daughter looked like they were the same age.
That's how Nick Cage likes him.
Yeah, 15. Even though she did not look like she was 15. There's a sweet scene where once he wants to go kill everybody, he puts on a leather jacket.
Of course, I mean,
in slow motion.
How do you? Oh God, never mind. That statement turned.
I wrote down Guitar Hero is hilarious and relevant. I think I was being sarcastic.
I mean, I'm sure you're being sarcastic.
I would imagine
what circumstances?
Druggies or a mob thugs that are playing.
Yeah, do they break in on somebody who's playing Guitar Hero?
There was some racism in my movie as well because they talked about how there was a Puerto Rican man with a nice Irish girl and someone had to defend her honor. And so I just wrote these quotes thinking that I would remember it, but this was the half that I watched last night. But Madeline, I watched it with my girlfriend, and she had me write down a few notes. There was a green wall in the kitchen that was fucking hideous, and she wanted to kill herself. I'm
so glad I didn't pick this movie.
She said,
You should probably spend some time with her and not record right now, man.
She said, I hate the random detective's accent. Write it down. And then there's the funeral scene. One character was wearing a brown tie with a black suit.
Oh.
The best is I can just hear her going, "No, write it down, Tyler. Tyler, write it down."
They hold on. Oh yeah, there was a scene where they go in, and I mean, this may be me thinking about it too much, but they go into a room with a bunch of drug addicts, and they go to the only black guy and start beating the shit out of him. And also the black guy is lit a lot darker than everybody else.
Oh wow!
And
everybody's got a drop spot on him.
And
everybody else is way more.
And
lit.
The girl that was with him, who was super fucked up and pretty much passed out, was a white girl. So I thought that was a little. I don't know.
A little aggressive?
Yeah, it wasn't Tim Roth. His name was Peter Stormare. I looked it up.
Okay.
So there was a scene when they go into the gambling ring where they're fucking everybody up, and Nick Cage puts somebody in one of those you know how you can pull somebody's wrist back and pulls his arm back and then takes the knife out and just starts slicing his arm.
Oh god.
Multiple just that was a little interesting. Then there's another scene when he chases down that driver, where he ends up dying because he got shot, and so he's getting no information out of him. And Nick Cage grabs him, and he's going, "No, don't die! Who did it? Who did it?" And then he starts banging him against the ground, going, "Who did it? Who did it? Who did it?" Thinking that I guess that would help a dying man.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially CPR.
And then he gives up, throws him on the ground, and then just unloads his gun into him. And
who was it? Kane? That was no, seriously.
No, he was by himself on a rooftop. Okay. And then during the car chase, there was a part where a cop car starts chasing Nick Cage, and they go through an intersection, and obviously the cop car gets hit by a pedestrian car.
Sure.
And immediately blows up.
Oh, that's the best. I love that.
Wow.
It was pretty great.
That's always funny. Just a fender bender, then a huge fireball explosion.
I mean, and it was instant. It was a like he was in the middle of cooking meth while driving.
How
well,
else
we
do you
don't
get
know
around?
that he wasn't.
How else do you get to where you need to go while being productive?
And I did think it was funny that Danny Glover just kept letting him go.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, you're fine." And especially in that scene when there were like a bunch of cops around him and another detective. That seriously.
Yeah, that also didn't help your case.
And yeah, I mean that's about all I got, I guess.
So I mean, what do you think about the movie though?
It was pretty bad. It was pretty dumb. I mean, I was having trouble remembering the different action set pieces when I was talking to you about it here. And like half of them I just watched. I mean, it was pretty much just Nick Cage going to a different set and beating people up, and then going like that was just the movie. I thought it was kind of funny that it ended up that the kid just killed him, and so Nick Cage killed all these people.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he died at the end. If that makes because the character killed all these people for no reason.
Yeah.
And also I think that
But I will say that like I also can't blame him. Like if he thinks that this is what happened, like I can't say that I wouldn't be in the similar situation if I had that sort of like mentality and past.
There was something about it though that I know it was supposed to be like John Wick, like it's like it in the same cause something dies, he goes back into the life of crime.
It doesn't mean as much when it's not a puppy.
Exactly.
It's
That's
just
what I was going to say.
daughter.
Yeah. No, but there's something about I couldn't really pinpoint it, but something about Nick Cage's character's story that just didn't work. Like for some reason in John Wick, you kind of sympathize with John Wick's character.
Yeah.
But I think it was because in John Wick, he is killing these people, but he doesn't want to. Like he's kind of like, I want to stop trying. But Nick Cage wanted to kill all these people.
Went off the rails real quick.
Yeah, and he like just kept wanting to kill more people. Maybe that's what it was, that it was like, this just like, I don't
Danny
like
Glover, I'm gonna kill all these mob guys. He's like, why? Because your daughter got killed? He's like, I didn't know she had been killed, but yes, that's exactly why.
There is a bit in the movie where the wife's like, I think you just like to kill people. And he's like, you like that? Does that turn you on? And then he like tries to kiss her, and I was a little uncomfortable with that as well, because she was like,
I'm really glad you didn't use that in the act. Like that would have been like an immediate loss. I'm like, sorry, Tyler, I think I'm gonna choose Charlie's.
Yeah. So that was. Do we want to do the score?
Oh yeah.
Now, I guess. And then we'll go into Charlie's
final thoughts and scores.
Got it up here. So, no, that's Dog Eat Dog. So Rage is at a 13%, 3.1 out of 10 average rating, 39 reviews, 5 fresh, 34 rotten. Critics' consensus is depressingly dull and all around poorly made. Rage is the rare Nicolas Cage action thriller lacking enough energy to reach so bad it's good territory.
Ooh, that's like I think that's a really well crafted like critique of a movie. Like it talks about everything, and then it also like references like the reason we watch Nicolas Cage movies now.
There isn't an original frame or line of dialogue in Rage. Rage is so full of cliche convention and just plain odd narrative choices that it can't get out of its own way. Even the stylish fight sequences don't have much of an impact because the film takes itself way too seriously. Judging from the lack of quality on the screen, perhaps it's time for Cage, Glover, and Stormare to throw in the towel. By the way, the Stormare, the guy in the wheelchair, he ends up getting killed by the Russian mob leader.
Okay.
Because the Russian mob leader like puts together a meeting, and he's like, hey, how about you tell Nick Cage to stop fucking killing all my guys? And he's just like, he's not my guy anymore. He's like, okay, but still... Can you talk to him? And he's like, yeah, he's not. I'm not going to do anything for you. And so then they just kill him.
That's okay.
He's like, out of principle, I can't do that for you. Cage may not always be easy on the eyes. Yeah. He looked terrible. I forgot to bring that up. He looked awful in this movie. Mm-hmm. But at his best, you can't turn away from him because you never really know what he'll do next. But here, the actor plays it drab and dour. Let's see. I want to get some positive ones. These are all... Oh, here we go. A thoroughly average Cageathon for followers of the Nick. Okay, that sounded kind of...
That dude has a shrine.
I mean, his profile picture is him wearing a cowboy hat. Or a fedora. I don't know which one it is. It's too blurry.
Ooh.
It's a blurry picture.
I hope it's a blend.
I mean, one of those is bad, one of those is way worse.
Nicolas Cage acts his socks off in this thinly plotted thriller, which is set in the same moral universe as the Taken movies, where mass murder is excusable if your daughter's been kidnapped.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. I don't have a daughter, but like
I'm glad you're being honest about it.
I'm not one to mass like if someone took my daughter and I was in that sort of thing, like I think in my opinion the mass murder would be warranted. Like one, I'm killing a bunch of crap people, and two, I'm trying to get back for like either get my daughter back or like avenge my daughter. I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, but you do all that, then you realize the kidnapping was an accident, like in this movie.
Yeah, that she didn't actually get kidnapped.
I mean, but in the end, you still kill off a bunch of fucking thugs.
This girl has an interesting take. She said, "Rage ends up as a bloody cautionary tale about how revenge served hot can backfire. It also reminds us that violence breeds violence. Not a bad message in today's world." Which, I mean, I get that that's not a bad message, but to give the movie a positive review because of that is a little much. Charlie, what do you got as far as your movie?
It just sucked. It was fucking terrible. There were a couple times I laughed, but it just sucked. And
for the second time, I almost spit take.
Spit took.
Trash.
I know, it didn't feel good.
Really uncomfortable watching that first scene where he goes up and kills that girl.
Yeah.
She does a good job pretending like she's really fearing for her life, and Willem Dafoe's just creepy as fuck looking.
Hold on, wait. Willem Dafoe played a creep in a movie?
I mean, I was gonna say, let's be honest. Even if it's fake, like Willem Dafoe, like trying to crash through a door at you, is going to be terrifying.
Well, yeah, but even like when he was a little bigger though, but just he was so gangly, it made it way worse. And he had like weird facial hair and stuff. But like Willem Dafoe from Spider-Man wouldn't be as creepy as this Willem Dafoe looks like a.
I mean, and he would at least
like all drugged out.
He would at least plead you to not tell Harry.
Yeah.
So there's that. I feel like he needs to just say Spider-Man once in every single one of his Spider-Man. Yeah, Nick Cage is. I feel like it's starting to be art reflecting his real life that he plays creepy guys so often and does it so well. But yeah, continue talking about your movie. Did you have? Oh, you have notes.
I mean, that's about it. It really sucked. Like, wow. I don't even understand the ending. Towards the end, I was starting to drift in and out, but I was like, okay.
You thought it was a fever dream?
I'm not joking, really. For part of it, I thought the movie was over. Then it got the diner scene, and you didn't see any main characters for a bit. And like, did Sarah
another movie
start? Did Sarah just leave Netflix on or something? It's like, oh, nope, there's Nick Cage again. Oh, they're getting pulled over, and the cops just start opening fire on the couple. The couple gets killed before Nick Cage. So they either got terrible aim, because Nick Cage is out of the car and like walked up to the cops, but they're clearly like shooting the car. And these old people are like, getting all blown away and stuff.
Wow.
Well,
I don't fucking know.
I guess you would be surprised to know that this is at a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was trying way too hard to be edgy with the drugs and like, it's all so weird. But
average rating 5 out of 10. Reviews counted 64, 30 fresh, 34 rotten. Critics' consensus is Dog Eat Dog's refreshing bundle of quirks and surfeit, S-U-R-F-E-I-T. I've never seen that word before. A visual style aren't quite enough to compensate for an aimlessly forgettable story.
Yeah, it was just dumb. Try hard.
Man, you pretty much edged out Tyler on like we shot the guy we were supposed to get money from
that
first.
Scene is funny. Like, it's kind of like
surfeit is how it's pronounced.
That's a tiny surfer.
It's an excessive amount of something is the definition when it's used as a noun.
Sure.
Which it wasn't in that sentence, I guess.
And that's your one tidbit of information.
Yeah,
today,
if you take one
listeners,
thing away from this podcast, it's tiny surfers. Is surfeit. I thought it was a French surfer, but so the reviews.
That's E-T-T-E.
Oh, my bad. And you have to go surfeit.
Surfeit.
The biggest waste of Cage, a brief spot of shit losing would have gone a long way to elevating this forgettable thriller. Saturated with campy gore, it plays as if they put the basic formula of a pulp B-movie in a blender and set it to puree. The result is a punk comedy that's repugnant but never boring. That's a bad review, rotten one though. Here's a positive one. Schrader thrusts the amoral ugliness into the screen and puckishly cold compositions suffused with screechingly echidulous colors.
Put down the thesaurus.
This is cinema that answers to nothing but itself. And that's a positive review. Avoid at all costs. That's a negative review.
That's a positive.
There's some clips worth watching on YouTube.
This is a nihilistic film about nasty folks on a self-destructive path. A little far too familiar by now, but still more interesting than your usual crime gone bad films.
Ooh, since they had been in jail for 15 years, they were talking about music and stuff. And it's like, man, I heard about, well, this is where a lot of the racism came in, but like some of these rappers and stuff. This is Willem Dafoe. But guess which rapper they called out as like one of the ones they knew? Because they were saying, I don't know this Taylor Swift.
Was it Nelly?
No, it's like, I know some of the rappers from some of the people in jail talking. It's like Lil Romeo and stuff.
Oh
like,
my
Lil
God.
Romeo.
That is a deep cut.
Yeah. Like, holy shit. Never thought I'd hear Defoe talking about Lil Romeo.
That's really funny too, to imagine like people in jail around his age just be like, oh yeah, I must know Lil Romeo. He knows what it's like. He speaks the truth. Oh god, that's funny.
Those were parts that I laughed at.
A movie that seemed to be ultimately interested in yelling at the audience and talking to itself. Jeez, I have not been able to read today. So I mean that's about it.
Yeah.
with these movies. So Steve, how do you feel about your choice? You can watch it on Netflix anytime you want.
I feel like there was a no way out in this one.
Yeah, that's true. It was an interesting fight.
It was one of the least pleasant experiences I've had watching one of the movies.
Really?
Ouch. Yeah.
It's up there with 9 Lives.
Yeah. Well, that was just dumb and boring. This was really just like you're trying so hard.
I gotcha. Yeah. That's like just
especially
so
the
much
drug
edge.
scenes.
You're surprised you didn't get cut off of the edge.
Drug scenes, yeah, are hard to portray. I think nowadays without just being like, okay, I've seen all this before. It's so like sticking his tongue out. Like,
I gotcha. It was like
rippling screen and all that.
It's the classic
shit.
Like that's not how it works. Like when you watch those drug scenes and they're just like seeing shit everywhere, and it's like all they took was like acid or LSD, and you're like, okay, this isn't like.
Yeah, it was just overkill. Like it was like if a 14-year-old wrote it and like, oh, you're gonna get real high on drugs and start like doing all this crazy random shit. So random.
Did anybody hold up a spork?
Yep.
Did they really?
Well, no.
Okay.
They held it sideways to cook the heroin and the
I
meth.
gotcha. Oh man, if they cooked heroin on a fucking spork.
That's like they could
So
just prick
random.
themselves a big hole and just let it just drip down
Just
into their
stab
veins.
yourself with
Yeah, just stab it and then like angle it so that it pours in from the sport.
It's so convenient.
Why don't they do this more often?
Yeah, and you can reuse it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that, I think that we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead and check out Beyond the Blast Doors Star Wars video cast on their YouTube channel. They made a video recently that's gotten some traction, and boy howdy is the Star Wars fandom toxic. Reading those comments, it's like, you go to hell. You liked The Last Jedi. You're a piece of shit. And it's like, yowza.
Wow.
And but yeah, go check those out. Check out Good, Bad, or Bad.
Add to the comments.
Yeah, Good, Bad, or
Yeah.
Bad. What were you
Get in
gonna
those comments. Make sure your username is your full name,
say?
full
And your
legal
address.
name. Yep.
Well, that's your sign off. Has to be your home address every
And if
time.
you want your text to be bold, you got to put in that social security number.
Yeah,
at the end of your
you
comment.
gotta verify your account.
If you type your password out,
Yeah,
it's
nobody
all
will see
star.
it. Yeah. when you wait, what was I gonna say? Oh, Good Bad or Bad Bad is another video cast on YouTube. They just reached 8K subscribers, so
that's awesome.
Congrats to them. And then we also have a YouTube page. You can check out if you can't find it, go ahead and go on the Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Links to it are all there. Right now, it's just the trailer reaction. We're gonna be adding more content though in the future. Also, This Film is Lit is another podcast. It's a pretty good one with Brian from Good Bad or Bad Bad and his girlfriend. One reads the book to a movie and they watch the movie and talk about the differences. Is that it? Thanks to Jeremy Lamb for the theme song. Oh yeah, I always forget Critical Misadventure. Excuse me, for D&D. And then thanks to Jeremy Lamb for the theme song, Scott Blackwell for the logo, and Andy Wisman for the photos.
Yes.
Bye.
So we need some movie and TV news and something we like, right?
No, this is a full episode.
Oh yeah, duh. Shit.
Wait, was I supposed to watch a movie?
The thing I was gonna like said apparently the Inhumans is canceled, and I was just gonna pitch it. It was like, dude, you see the shocking news that came out, friggin' jaw dropper. I really had to catch my breath. Like, apparently they're not renewing Inhumans.
I'm floored.
The most shocking thing will be if they pretend that exists at all.
Yeah. If they ever talk about the moon, even.
Or they just have Thanos just blow it up just to just be done with it.
Well,
that's how they write off the story.
There's a scene in the New Avengers where somebody comments about how the tides are terrible. If only there was something in the sky that could regulate them.
Well, Tony Stark would launch something into orbit to replace the moon.
Yeah, sure. His ego.
Man, this might have to go at the end of the episode. That was gold. Okay, let's start it.